Hey guys, out here in the woods, my Grizzly, my son hanging out by the river, and figured it's about time I do an update video on my Grizzly. It's been going on a couple years now. In fact, no, it's been over 2 years since I got it. Got about just under 1,600 miles on it. I don't know the hours offhand. Maybe I'll look here in a second. Haven't had any issues with it so far. There was a service bulletin released back when it was about 8 months old for a spring on the compression shaft, and YAMAHA went in there and upgraded the spring to a stronger spring, just so nothing would happen down the road. And recently YAMAHA sent out a service bulletin saying that their four-wheel drive switches might act up. I don't know if they get water in them or whatnot, but my four-wheeler, the switch, it only did it a few times, but when I turn on the key it would cycle through the four-wheel drive on and off real quick and then stop. And my warranty's long expired, but YAMAHA went ahead and replaced that for free, just because they like to honor their stuff. So I haven't had any issues. 1,500 miles. I started off doing this just as fun, just to show you guys the new Grizz, and here we are a couple years later, and got a bunch of you who actually subscribe to me and watch this stuff. So I figured I'd owe you a walk around my latest version. And some of you ought to be really happy because I don't have the windshield on it, and I get nothing but comments about how ugly the windshield is. So there you go, no windshield. So changed a few things probably since my last video. I added this rack up here. It's kind of nice if you're just cruising around a campground and you got your laundry up here, or towels or something. Some of the campgrounds in Wisconsin, you can bring your ATV and you can ride around to the shower and whatnot. So that's kind of nice. It's, to me, I kind of bought it for looks also. It kind of balanced out the four-wheeler. I like the way it made the front look as tall as the back. One of my later videos, I had my stereo system installed, which had the speakers mounted here, and I had a subwoofer inside, and it really kicked butt. It was loud, it was fun, it was pretty awesome. But the reality was, it was also kind of bulky, and it didn't totally fit with the scheme I had going of, just streamline and, I don't know, kind of like the ultimate adventure ATV. You don't really need all that bulky crap on there. So I ended up putting this JBL Extreme Bluetooth speaker on a bungee cord right here. And this thing cranks, it's plenty loud. And nice thing is it comes off and can use it in the woods or camping or wherever. So that's kind of my new stereo for now. I found that I really didn't crank tunes when I rode that much anyhow. I kind of like to hear the motor and just cruise through the woods. The tunes are more for when we're parked and hanging out, and that works great. Inside the box here, I still got my built-in air compressor ready to go. I got a 12-volt plug, and then this is my secondary battery that I have a wire running from this battery up to the front battery with a fuse on either end so you don't have a fire. And then I grounded this battery right to the frame through the mounting bolt over here. And this battery charges with the four-wheeler then also, so I have basically dual batteries, extra power just in case. I keep first aid kit, and this right here is full of tools. Got an umbrella. In this box, I think it's mostly just personal things. Got some lighters, sunblock, I don't know, mosquito net, miscellaneous cables, eye drops, Q-tips, mirror, just weird things you might want in the woods, probably won't ever need. Got these are rain pants, and in here is a rain jacket. Of course, got my Yeti jug. I fill that up with ice water when I go out, so I got a nice little supply of water. And then over here in this box, which these boxes are bolted in, they don't move around. I have more tools, wire, batteries, lighters, and this bag right here is filled with bolts and nuts. Anything that may fall off my four-wheeler, I have a replacement more than likely in here, including, I found out, lug nuts. And in this bag right here, I put a straight bar with a deep well lug nut wrench, because I had lug nuts come off on the trail last season and my wheel actually came off. It was pretty embarrassing, and I didn't even have a wrench to put it back on because you got to have a deep well socket to reach in there, and it was a mess. So I learned the hard way. Make sure you check your lug nuts and carry a wrench that you can tighten them with on the trail. So I had to wait for somebody on a motorcycle to go get me tools. But even though the wheel fell off and I was going down a rocky trail, the only thing I heard on my Grizzly was they got these little metal like rock dividers in here, and it got crunched. So I don't remember, it was like, I think it was less than 20 bucks, so I had to buy a new one of them, but it didn't hurt anything else. Didn't bend the brake disc or anything, so I got kind of lucky. It was quite an interesting feeling when it fell off. As you can see, I put my Snorkel on my HMF Swamp series. I may not have had that last time you saw my video. It sounds great. It, you know, power wise, it ain't any more powerful than the way I had the 2R racing tip on there, but that thing was obnoxiously loud, and this HMF Swamp series pipe is much quieter. So then you're looking at my Snorkel going, okay, that's not right. It's true. But the reality is, when it's snorkeled to here, I got about the same amount of exhaust snorkel as I do factory, you know, intake snorkel. So my exhaust now is about level with where my air intake and my clutch intake is. And although I'm not really truly snorkeled, the one thing that's really awesome about my Grizzly is it'll float. So if I get in water that is too deep for this machine, I can jump off and just typically the front end likes to sink down a little bit more. So you get off and you grab the front of your four-wheeler and you just kind of give it a little bit of a lift, and the rear end will stay floating, and you should be able to float your four-wheeler back to safety without drowning it. And what's kind of nice about having the exhaust snorkeled, because if you are floating it, your exhaust would typically be underwater, right there at least, and this way my exhaust would probably stay just above water, and that way, if by chance it stalled while I was floating it, hopefully I would have enough exhaust snorkel that I don't have to worry about water going in my exhaust and back into a open valve. So far, never had any issues. Live right by a river. This four-wheeler has been in that river for miles and miles and miles, and no issues so far. The YAMAHA puts marine grade plugs on everything, and it's nice to go in there and open them all up and put some dielectric grease just to be sure. Just recently I went through and I opened all my plugs back up under my plastic, and I found a couple that had some mud in them. So I don't think I actually ever greased them from the day one, so I put grease in them. Spark plug boot on this thing, I never dielectric grease from the day I got it, and it never stalled in the water. But my 400, it will definitely stall if you don't have grease in your spark plug boot. So I greased this one just so I don't have that issue down the road now that it's getting a little older and the factory seals aren't going to be quite as tight as they were. I don't know what else I did. I guess I should talk about my favorite part of this four-wheeler, and that's these Elka shocks. I mean, best money ever spent. This thing rides like an absolute Cadillac. I love it. Anyone who jumps on it and rides it can't believe how nice it rides. I've had these shocks for, you know, over a year now. Probably put about 800 miles on them. I don't really recall. I'm sure if you go back through my videos, you'll be able to tell exactly how many miles I put on them. But no issues. They look as good as the day I got them. You're probably wondering, do I ever go in the mud? Yes, this thing gets buried in the mud all the time. I just obsessively clean it. And it doesn't, you know, get destroyed from the mud like a lot of the other brands. YAMAHA builds them so good. Stage 4 shocks in the back. Again, no issues. They look as good as the day I got them. And a ride amazing. I always like to tell people that when I'm sitting on it and you're riding over obstacles, you actually hear it going, making all these crazy squishing and noises, and it's nothing like riding with stock suspension. It's kind of like having 4 hard little playground springs under there with stock suspension versus these Elka shocks. I know not everybody can afford them, but if you can, they're well worth every penny, and you will not regret it. Especially if you're older, or maybe you just have bad back like I do. You know, it's nice to have that smooth, soft, plush ride. I used to ride around on sport machines, and they would beat the crap out of you. It's nothing like riding one of these GRIZZLYs. So I really enjoy the suspension. Yeah, I don't know what else I can tell you about it. No issues, so nothing really to say. I like pretty much everything about it. YAMAHA just came out with a new 450. Looks pretty nice. I might look at getting that for my wife. I wish they had put diff lock on it, but that's YAMAHA for you. They're gonna have to short you somewhere. Anyhow, thanks for watching my videos, guys. I think, as you can tell, I'm not real professional about this, and there's no editing whatsoever. So thanks for sticking around and watching them through with me. Hey, Dane.